Hello YouTube, we are back with another video. I know it's been a while, but I wanted to do more videos, or I wanted to upload another video. I just couldn't really decide what I wanted to work on. I know that Resident Evil comes out tomorrow. I don't know if this video will be uploaded today, but either the 26th or 27th. I don't know if I'll be able to get Resident Evil right away. I was thinking if I wanted to get it or not, like day one, but even if I get it tomorrow, I'm gonna be extremely busy tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday and the next couple of days, so I won't even be able to get to play it. So I'll wait to get it, and then maybe at some point we'll upload it. But I did want to upload a lot more Mecha Break videos, to be honest, because I've been enjoying the game a lot, and I think it's a great game, and I just wanted to upload content for it. So I hope you guys enjoy that. So instead of like another video right now, because the competitive is a little bad right now, I did want to do a tier list for anyone who's like, I don't know if people are still interested in playing Mecha Break. I sure hope they are, because I really do believe that this game's a lot of fun, and I hope people continue to play it. I beg people to continue to play it, because otherwise the game will die, and I'm going to be really sad for all the time that I've spent into this game for it to just not be playable anymore. And I know the devs are working on it. They're putting in new mechs and stuff like that. So it's not a dead game, but it's definitely, it doesn't have a lot of people playing, unfortunately. Oh boy. Anyways, this is my tier list for Mecha Break. Something that I wanted to do for a little while now, actually. And for anyone who's interested in playing the game, anyone who still plays the game, I think this tier list could be helpful. Just a little reason why my info, I think, is helpful to others. I am GM 4 as of right now. I know it's not the highest tier on the... I think like the highest is Unbreakable, but it's just so hard to get there, not because of like wins, but because of time. Right now, I can't even get a match, even if I wait like 10 minutes for a match. So getting up there in the ranks is getting really difficult at a certain point. Now, maybe because it's the weekday, I think on weekends there's a lot more people that are playing, probably. I don't know. So I'll try again this weekend. But I am GM. I wasn't GM last season. So I think I got a fair point of view on this. I don't know. Maybe someone else can step in and point me in the right direction. Anyways, this is all opinion based. In the end, this is all just kind of based off of what I think works and doesn't work. But one thing I do want to preface is that every mech has its place. That's the one thing I like about Mecha Break compared to other... It's not really a hero shooter, but it's kind of there. It's kind of similar. Is that there's like not really a mech that's not good. There are mechs that definitely I think that aren't great, but every mech has its place, and that's what I like about Mecha Break. There isn't a single mech that can't do something, or can't counter something, or can't find its way in rank, or in quick play, essentially. So there's always like a way to play a mech, and they're just all fun. And in either way, I haven't really played a mech that I didn't like, in all honesty. So take this list with a grain of salt that I'm purely focusing on what mechs really provide the most in a match. Like how many kills they get, what their utilities are, how useful they are in any situation. And because there are objectives, it's an objective based game. So getting the points, clearing the corites, pushing the payload, etc. There are things to think of, and elimination as well, the elimination rounds. So considering these factors, that's how I'm kind of basing this tier list off of, like what makes those mechs incredible, and why that mech should be a pick in any given season. We're on, I think this is season 3. I believe this is season 3. And they didn't change too much from what I've seen, but I didn't look at the latest patch notes for the max. I should have checked the patch notes recently, but either way, the changes they make aren't aren't super noticeable or game breaking. But either way, we're gonna just factor in season 3 right now, not previous seasons, because things change all the time. So we're just going with what's good now. There has been one new mech that was announced in this recent season, which is Freyr, and we'll talk about that later. But anyways, the top list is pretty much the original lineup, which I didn't realize. I think Inferno's here, and I placed them here, and then Serenith as well is over here, and I placed them down here. So ignore that. I thought they weren't there. Anyways, we're starting off with Elysinus. Elysinus is absolutely an S tier mech. Hate him or love him, Elysinus is just such a good mech to play, and he's incredibly fucking annoying to deal with. I hate fighting against a good Elysinus player. They're the worst. They're literally just like they're such a pain in the ass to deal with. Now, Elysinus really is one of those mechs that you kind of gotta be a little bit good on to get the most value, but there's one thing that sets him apart from all other mechs, is that it's his survivability. You have to kill this fucker like 4 times. 4 goddamn times. Hey, if you guys are gonna do a patch note season games, make it only 3 times. I'm begging you. Elysinus needs to die. This mech is so busted in terms of just survivability. It's almost not worth fighting him, but it's not the same as Tricera where you can ignore him. You can't ignore an Elysinus. He'll just wreck your team because he has 2 ways of fighting you. He either has his gun, which the gun doesn't do a lot of damage, to be honest. It's kind of more of a close range gun that does do damage if you charge it up. But from a distance, it really kind of does tickle damage. Unless a mech is really low, then yeah, it's more worth it to use the gun. But he gets the most value out of his spear. And in his, like, I want to call it awakened form, when he sheds his armor and goes lightning speed, he doesn't have his gun anymore. He shreds with that form. And it's really hard to deal with him. I mean, he's got almost no health, so you can't kill him. But the problem is, he can get his armor back with shield, and it's just, oh my god. Anyways, Elysinus is almost always a pick in any match. He's almost always picked in any rank, in any match. He's there. Like a goddamn nightmare, he's there. You can deal with him, of course, absolutely, if you like hard focus him. It doesn't matter what mech you play. If you know how to play your mech, there are certain exceptions, like Narukami, like the sniper classes. It's kind of hard to deal with him, which goes into the part of, like, there are some counters, right? But yeah, he's a great mech. He's the staple, I guess, the ones that people get used to the game with, like Soldier 76, right? But arguably, I think when you play him more, it does take a lot more skill to play him. He is a relatively high skill mech because you have a lot to think about, because if the enemy team has a Panther or Welkin or Freyr now, or Stellaris, you have to think about their fighters coming after you as well. So when do you parry, when do you dodge, when do you attack, that kind of stuff. So but either way, great mech, great survivability, and you know, with him around, it makes it easy to complete objectives. Basically, he can either focus other fighter or strikers, I guess, enemy combatants, while your team focus on the payload or going for Corites. He himself can go for Corites or pushing the payload or whatever. Like, he can, he's really versatile in that sense. And in elimination, he's great. You just go in and kill whatever mech, basically. So he's pretty versatile, so that's why I put him at S. Aquila. God, Aquila. I think Aquila is definitely at an A tier. Not quite S, but very, very, very strong. Between the 2 snipers that we have, he's the better sniper, in my opinion. And the reason is that he's got a little bit more survivability. And that's the best reason. I'll get into Narukami later, but Aquila is almost also an essential pick in like a team. No, sorry. And the reason for that is because there's not a lot of like aerial coverage in this game. Like, yeah, you've got Sky Raider and Falcon, but those guys are, I feel like, not really the most problematic. Like, I haven't ever been seriously pressured by a Falcon or a Sky Raider ever. Like, they get kills sometimes, of course, if they're good at it, but like Aquila is the most pressure-inducing like aerial mech. And unless you have a mech that can fly pretty well, like Sky Raider or Falcon, and maybe Norn or others that have like good energy reserve, like Freyr, he's pretty hard to deal with. And he does really good damage, and he can bypass fluid armor with charged shots, which is kind of insane from a distance. And he's, like I said, he's got great survivability. He's got his one of his skills that basically stuns you for, I think it's like 2 seconds. It's a decent amount of time for him to stun an enemy and then get away. It also prevents you from locking on as well during that time. So you're not only stunned, but you can't lock on and do anything. So he can just kind of fly away, and you have to try to find him again. Or he can take that time to just kind of constantly snipe you while you're stuck. And it's pretty good. And with his other skill that allows him to stay in the air on like it feels like a flotation device, to just kind of like hover and increase his scope range as well, is kind of insane. So he's got really good kit, does really high damage, and is an overall nuisance on any situation. Like if you're trying to move the payload as Tricera, he's just taking pot shots at you. Or if you're trying to get a Corite or disable a Corite, he's there just taking pot shots at you, preventing you from doing anything. So if there's an enemy Aquila, you have to deal with him because he'll just stay there. Granted, if your team has other aerial mechs, then he'll probably focus on them first, which is kind of why I said Sky Raider and Falcon aren't great, because sometimes they lose. I've seen it for the most part, they lose the battles against Aquila. Now, that doesn't mean it's all the time, but in my opinion, I think they just don't do as well against Aquila as Aquila does for them. Honestly, the best counter would be another Aquila. So Aquila versus Aquila, and hope that your team's Aquila is better, which sometimes isn't the case, and it's pretty rough. But there are other ways. Like I said, if you've got like, oh, that's right, I forgot about Alfred too. But Alfred's a different story. Like, I managed to kill Aquila pretty well as Freyr. But again, we'll get into Freyr a little bit later. But yeah, he's a really, really, really strong mech to have on your team when the enemy team has no counter. If there's like no counter Aquila, it's free win. It's free win because, yeah, Tricera and all the others can shoot at you, but you can just go high enough that the bullets or the damage is almost negligible, and you can still just do massive damage to them. So it's pretty great. All right, going on to Falcon. I think Falcon is at like C tier. Yeah. The thing about Falcon, and I'll get into Sky Raider later. Actually, is Sky Raider here? I don't see. Oh, there he is. Yeah, he's over there. You know what? Let me actually just put him over here. Right. Do him next. The thing with Falcon and Sky Raider is that they're so similar. That's the main problem. There's almost no difference between the two. The main differences are, I think that Falcon... I'm trying to remember the movesets, because I don't really play them that much. Falcon has a disruptor missile that if you launch it, like, kind of stuns the enemy. And Sky Raider has, like, a targetable bomb that you can drop that does scatter damage. And I think they have, like... Oh, and I think Sky Raider has, like, the like pulse grenade, I believe, is what he has, and Falcon just has like missiles. But they're like so similar. They're almost not different in any way. In how they fly and how they maneuver, how they get around. I think Falcon is the only one that has like, I think he's the one that has like a downward spiral. I don't think you can do that with Sky Raider. I'm not too sure, but Falcon can do like a downward spiral to like deactivate lock on to him for a second or two. But again, it's really negligible. It really is. And the problem with Falcon and Sky Raider and a lot of the flying characters is that they move so fast that you kind of just across the battlefield doing like pellet damage. You just fly and do pellet damage to enemies. And like as soon as you pass them, you have to like, unless you have a giant mouse pad, which I don't, and your DPI is pretty high, or what is it? I'm forgetting the word. Your sensitivity is really high, then maybe you can whip yourself around and come back. But most, I think, players don't have that. And some people might, but like you have to like really swing your whole arm around to like make sure you get a 180 turnaround to then fly back and do damage. And unless you're doing that, the enemy will be like, "Oh, what was that pellet damage? Oh, okay, must have been the wind." And then they go back to whatever the fuck they were doing, or they might notice you and then just like pellet you. Like Tricera decimates Falcons and Sky Raiders. Because Falcon and Sky Raider have no health and no armor, basically. Like, they might as well be made of paper mache. And they have nothing. They have nothing that can prevent themselves from getting, like, downed. Like I said, Falcon has his downward spiral, and they have loops and things like that. And I think Sky Raider can do, like, spirals and loops as well. But it's honestly, it's nothing. In terms of, like, what the other mechs have for survivability, they have, like, not a thing. They don't have a stun. Well, I guess Falcon has his, like, or no, not Falcon. Sky Raider has his, yeah, Falcon. I can't remember. One of them. They're so same. But one of them has their stun grenade. But like you have to hit it, and again, the speed at which you're going at to shoot things and deal damage is really hard. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're a really good Falcon player and a really good Sky Raider, I'm sure there are some crazy things you could do, and I'm fairly sure that you could be a real giant nuisance to a team by preventing them from doing things like capturing core or getting the core eyes, capturing the payload, capturing points, blah blah blah. So all you need is one bullet. You literally just need like one bullet to stop an enemy from doing anything. But if the enemy team's got like a hurricane and they got shields and box and all that stuff, it then becomes almost impossible to do anything. So I'm putting them at C because they have a use, but well, I guess I might as well put Sky Raider as well. I might lower them just because they really don't have much value in a game. Like, again, I don't play them that often, and I think they're fun. Like, they're fun. Like, if you're just playing to have fun, then they're great. You know, it's really cool to zoom around the map and shoot things and just have a good time. But in comp, I kind of cringe a little bit when there's a Falcon or Sky Raider on my team. And more importantly, when they're both on my team. Holy shit, is that like the worst comp to have? When you have Falcon and Sky Raider on your team and you're like, this is it. This is where we lose. Because they can't do anything. Not in terms of damage or anything, but they can't do the objective. It's impossible for these two mechs to do the objective. They can't stand on the payload. So they can't push the payload. They can't get the corites. They can't capture the points. Technically, they could, but if they're on the ground, they're dead. Like I said, they're made of paper mache. So if they're on the ground, they have to be not in the battle, not in the thick of it, or they'll just explode. Their main thing is to just, I guess, deal with Aquila, essentially, or Norn, or Alfred. Like, that's their tasks. But they're not as good at it as just having Aquila, or whatever. And don't even get me started on Narukami either. So it's just like they don't provide much value in a comp match. And so it kind of sucks that, I don't know, I wish they had more to them. You know, because again, they are really cool mechs, but they just don't have really good survivability at all. Like, I wish they had, like, flares, you know? Like, fighter jets these days have flares Even in the past, they had flares that they could shoot out to mitigate any damage, but they don't even have that. So yeah, it is a shame. It is a real shame. But like I said, I might lower them to be honest. Okay, Hurricane. Hurricane is definitely an A tier mech. Not quite S, but almost S. I actually know what, I'm gonna put him in front of Aquila. Hurricane does insane amounts of damage, and he's just so annoying to deal with because of his deployable drones, like shield drones. I can't remember. I think he have like up to 3 out at the same time, I believe. And in this game where lock-on is everything, those drones are a fucking menace. They are the worst. Because your lock-on automatically targets those, and you can't do anything about it. Unless you're a very far distance away where the lock-on doesn't force you. I haven't messed with the settings, so there might be a thing where you can, like, maybe change lock-on. I haven't actually looked into it. I never really had I never had a reason to be honest. Because you kind of do need lock-on yeah, you kind of need lock-on. It's imperative that you have it. So I don't know if that's something that you can actually take off or not. I have no idea. But anyways, depending on like whatever mech that shoots that you have, so which is almost literally all of them, they will automatically target those drones, and it makes it really annoying to deal with Hurricane because he'll just shoot you and you can't even do damage to him because you're focusing the drones. On top of that, he has a shield, a deployable shield that actually takes a decent amount of damage. I don't remember the health on it, but you could just hide it, pop the shield, hide in it, deal damage from the outside or from the inside, deploy your drones, and essentially just kind of like deal a lot of damage without taking any in return. And you can deploy the shield on allies as well. And it's very useful, again, for capturing objectives. You pop the shield, try to capture the objective. Now, the shield is not, like, you can walk through it. That's the only thing. So if you want to prevent Hurricane from capturing a Korite, for example, you have to literally walk inside the shield. But then you're inside his massive damage range, because Hurricane's one of those shooting characters or shooting mechs that the closer you are to him, the more damage he'll do. But again, that's like, if you're really good at the game, you'll figure out how to deal with him. If you're not good at the game, you're just going to get wrecked. And if you're a good Hurricane, you'll know how to position yourself and maneuver yourself so you don't take too much damage. So he's a really solid pick, I think, at any rank. And oftentimes you see him play the game too, I feel like. Or not play the game, MVP. There's no play of the game. He's just a really, really all-around good mech. A must choose for a team. Inferno, also A tier. Inferno and Hurricane are, for me, again, the same. I guess that's the slight downside to Mecha Break. There's like a couple mechs that are similar, though there are some noticeable differences. With Inferno, he doesn't have any shields, but he does have an ability that allows him to be like invulnerable. Or sorry, not invulnerable, like you can't lock onto him for a certain time, and it does recharge his energy and fluid armor as well at the same time. And his the best move that he has does crazy amounts of damage. I think one of the highest damaging plasma lasers in the game is from Inferno. But again, you have to consistently hit it on a mech, and it's really, really slow. So you have to like really time it so someone's not paying attention to you, or like that they're not really in a way or in a position that they can like outmaneuver your beam. So, and it has a severe cooldown as well. I think it's like 30 seconds. But they're both good picks. The problem is I'm not good at playing at either of them. I tried playing Inferno for a while because there's a mission for him, and I just could not get kills as this guy. I just couldn't figure it out. I guess it also depends on your team comp and how well you team comp, because Inferno does not do damage from far. He does damage from like medium to close range. which is hard with all the strikers there are, like Elysinus and Welkin and all that. It is hard to deal that massive damage when they're just kind of wailing on you. So you have to be smart to play Hurricane Inferno. Not like you have to be smart. You just have to like know how to play and maneuver them. And if you can, you'll get a lot of value out of it. I don't think Inferno and Hurricane are really kill prioritized mechs. I think they're mostly like to bring a mech down to almost no health. Like they're there to like get rid of fluid armor, basically, like rinse fluid armor and allow for other mechs to help like kill them. And they can get the occasional kills as well. Lumine. Lumine is at a solid B tier for me. As one of the only healers one of the two healers in this game, he is, for me, not as good of a healer as Pinaka. Now, don't get me wrong, Lumine is a strong healer. He can dish out a lot of healing, but his survivability is not very good. And he doesn't really do a lot of damage either. Like, it kind of feels like he really is just a healer, like a heal bot. And unfortunately, enemies or people understand that Lumine can do a lot of healing, and he's heavily targeted. Now, Pinaka, don't get me wrong, he's heavily targeted, but Pinaka is a lot harder to deal with than Lumine. The only thing that Lumine's got for him is his insane amount of energy and speed. Like, it is downright disgusting trying to just, like, chase after a Lumine. Good Lumine players, like, never die. But the problem is, they spend so much time getting away from an Elysinus or a Welkin or a Freyr or whatever, or Aquila or whatever, that they don't get much chance to heal. And so they become effectively useless. And a good Aquila player will manage to kill a Lumine very, very quickly, because Lumine has no shield and no health. He's got, like, nothing to him. He's, again, paper thin. But, again, he's plays higher as Falcon and Sky Raider because he has more value as a teammate, if you can play well. But, yeah, it's just a shame that he just doesn't have a lot of survivability. Alright, Narukami. Narukami is at B for me. Not C. I don't put him on the same tier as Aquila because Narukami has no survivability as well. Now, Narukami is great. I love Narukami. I love playing as Narukami. He's a fun sniper. It's so fun to just hide in the shadows or, like, cling to the wall like Spider-Man and just, like, you know, shoot people from a great distance. But when someone eventually realizes where you are and someone's kind of sick of your shit, they will heavily pressure you and you just explode. And there's nothing you can do about it. Because the drones you have, you can deploy only 2 out of your, like, 5 that you have. I wish you could deploy at least 3 drones. That would be really nice. But you can only deploy 2, unfortunately. Which is a big shame. But every time you take a shot, whether it's you or your drones, the little purple silhouette appears very briefly. And if enemies are paying attention, they'll know where you are. And so they kind of know where to shoot. And so once they know where you are and they destroy your clones, or they feel the urge to go after you, you don't have much means of getting away, unfortunately. The only thing you can do is pop your big dome shield that makes you invisible. But again, enemies aren't... If they're not stupid, they'll know you popped it. And they'll know that you're just kind of sitting inside. So they can just either, like, walk forward a little bit and then strike you or whatever. You can try to place another clone, and then they'll automatically attack the clone. But again, you have to be nearby your clone to still get the stealth. It's like 140 meters, I think, is the maximum. 141 meters you can be from any drone to keep the stealth. So if they destroy the drone, then you're out of stealth. So you have no survivability if someone pressures you. And Aquila is kind of your nightmare. You do more damage than Aquila, I believe, especially with your drones out. Like, you can rinse an Aquila pretty quickly. But if Aquila knows you're shooting at him, he'll find you pretty quick, destroy your clones, and then it's just you versus Aquila, who is much more agile or able to shoot you a lot easier than you can shoot him. Because you can't move in your scoped form. That's the major downside to Narukami. I can't stress that enough. If you're scoped in, you cannot move. You have to take your... Well, you could either unscope and then move, or scope, take your shot, and then move. And that's a shame. That is a complete shame, because if you can at least move while you're scoped, then you can at least maybe deal with Aquila a lot better. But seeing that you can't do that, Aquila can just freely shoot you while you're scoped at him, and he can move around, making it harder for you to shoot him. And then if you try to unscope to move around, you're probably not going to reach him, or the shots are not going to do as much damage. So if they gave Narukami any sort of like stun like they gave Aquila, I think Narukami would be a lot better. He kind of has like his stun with, I think, the drones, or sorry, I guess his hobby drones. I think when you hit it, it stuns you a little bit, but it's very, 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 very short. He does have a move with his grapple. If you grapple towards the enemy, you jump over them and stun them. And so that is kind of a way to get out, but it's really hard to do it in pressure situations. Like, you gotta really pay attention to that. And the best counter you can do, really, is use your grapple, jump over the enemy, stun them, pop your clone, move a little bit, and just stay, and then don't move. And by the time you do all that, hopefully, the enemy, either one of three things is gonna happen. One, they'll give up and move along and be like, fuck this, I don't know where he is, I don't want to spend all my time on this. And they'll leave. Two, they might know where you are. Like, if you didn't do it very well, they might see where the clone is, and they'll pop it, and then they'll go after you again, and then you're dead. Or three, they might shoot or swing around the area, and they might accidentally hit you or the clone, and then again, you'll die. So only one of those situations works out in your favor. So Narukami, it does not get out of any situation really unscathed. So that's that one. But he's really fun to play. But again, he doesn't really do much for any kind of objective-based gameplay, unfortunately. Or at least not as good. Okay, Panther, absolutely, again, S tier. Just a real, again, fucking pain in the ass to deal with. Thank God Panther does not have the same survivability as Elysius, but he's still got some good stuff attached to him that makes him a nightmare to keep up, to kill. I mean, just like all strikers, he bypasses fluid armor, dealing direct HP damage with his spear or his sidearm, depending which one you use. He's got his shield to parry. He's got his, I think, in my case, the best skill to have is replenishing energy. That skill is so incredibly, I think, not well appreciated. The fact that you can just, like that, get your energy back. Not all the way full. I think it's like half. But you can do it twice. And then it cools down. And then his, like, I don't know what it's called. It's like green armor. It's not fluid armor. It's like armor on top of that. I don't remember what that armor is called. But that also keeps him alive very, very, very well as well. So killing him can be kind of a nightmare, but more than anything, he's just so good. If you've encountered a good Panther, which I have so many times, they are such a nightmare to deal with. They are so good at just killing your teammates, killing you, stomping you, and just crushing you under their foot as they just wreck the whole battlefield. Good Panther players are extremely hard to deal with, extremely hard to kill, and make you feel like you should install the game sometimes. They're just such a nightmare. And honestly, I'd rather deal with an Elysius than a Panther. Elysius is kind of annoying to kill, but you can kill him. Panther sometimes feel like you never kill him. And if he's partnered with a Pinaka, oh, it's done for. It's over. It's so over. Panther and Pinaka are like the worst combinations. It's a goddamn nightmare. So he is still at the top of the class, even despite being one of the first mechs to come out. He's just an overall nuisance. I used to play him in the beginning because he kind of reminded me of God. There was the Gundam game that came out a while ago, and then the game died, and it was really incredibly sad. I can't remember the name of the Gundam that is very similar to him, but that's why I picked him up at the beginning. But I didn't quite like him as much as Welkin, or at least I couldn't understand how to play him as much as Welkin at the time. All right, Panaka S tier, absolutely god tier healer in this game. But again, there's literally only two. It would be nice to see another healing mech, to be honest, because there's only two. But Panaka is, if you encounter a good Panaka player, forget about it. You'll never kill him. You'll never kill him. Panaka has, I think, arguably one of the highest survivabilities in this game, outside of maybe Tricera. But Tricera doesn't move. Panaka is highly maneuverable, decent amount of health and armor, and then his one skill, which takes his halo and gives that little, like, I don't know what shape that is. Not sphere, but pentagonal sphere. I don't remember what it's called, like dodecahedron, something like that. Dodecahedron bubble around him that kind of absorbs damage. Like, I think you can kind of bypass it with, like, direct attacks, like with Panther and Elysinus, but it dishes out an insane amount of healing. So killing a Panaka through that is, like, it takes a lot of effort. And then again, at the same time, he's got high maneuverability, so he can most likely just get away before you even do anything. And then his halo that also shoots plasma shots does do a fair amount of damage. Like, it actually does more damage than you think for this guy's class, especially at close range. From long range, it doesn't really do much, but the closer you are to Panaka, the more damage you'll take. Like, it's kind of insane how much damage you take if you're not really paying attention. Like, your fluid armor will just disappear if you're not careful. Now, the one thing that makes him not good, I still put him in S tier because he's got a lot of survivability and he's really, really good. The only downside is once you move your halo to another player, then he becomes completely useless. He might as well just be in D tier. Because he can't do anything after that. And it's really odd from my point of view. I wish they gave him, like, I don't know, a sidearm or something. Just, like, something for him to do while his, whatever it is, the halo's on a friendly teammate. You can still shoot that halo, but it's not for you, it's for your teammate. Because what happens is you end up attaching the halo to your allied unit who's taking damage, and then you shoot, you right click, you're also doing damage to the enemy, but it's not from your personal mech, it's from the halo. All the plasma shots come from that halo. And so if a good player notices that Panaka doesn't have his halo on him, they immediately go after him, and you will more than likely explode if you're not, like, if you don't pay attention and don't bring your halo back in time. Because you have to look away from your ally, press the key again, and it takes a little bit of time for your halo to come back. And you might die in that time, or you might get stun locked or whatever, and you'll explode. So you do have to be really, really careful as a Panaka player. But if you're good, you're able to keep your teammates alive very well. You're able to do a lot of damage, get a lot of assists, and just be an overall nuisance, really. Serenith. Oof. I think Serenith goes at an A tier. He's very strong, and I'd put him over, Inferno. Even, I think, over Aquila. But, God, again, this is a mech I hate going against. I hate Serenith with every fiber of my being, and if I see a Serenith on the enemy team, I tunnel vision go for that mech, because he is the worst thing to deal with on the enemy team. Out of all the mechs that exist in this game, yes, Tricera is a nuisance, but you can deal with them. Sure, Panther and Elysinus are in Lucence. Yeah, Panaka, you should go after him, but the real enemy is Serenith. Because of the, like, orbital beam or the orbital strike that he drops on you. He can do it from anywhere. He can charge it up to do massive damage, but it also attacks his allies at the same time. And what feels worse is that once he's locked onto you, it doesn't matter if you hide behind a wall or anything, it'll still go after you. But the main problem isn't even the orbital strike, it's the function that allows him to override your circuit board, override your mech, and prevent you from targeting him and enemies. So he, like, flips the script, basically, right? He's like, oh, you're my enemy, let me hijack your mech, now you can't target me and all of the quote-unquote enemies before, and now your allies are the enemies. So all your attacks get redirected if your allies are nearby, but more importantly, you can't hit him. Even if he's standing literally right in front of you, you can't do anything. And I believe that move is based off of how close you are to the enemy units. So it's like it shoots out like a taser, essentially. And I don't remember if it automatically goes away or if you leave a certain distance it goes away. I can't remember. I think it automatically goes away after a set amount of time. But also if you leave a certain distance, it also goes away. I think. I can't remember the exact specs of it. But that move alone makes Serenith a top priority. Because once he does that, he can still attack you. So you're just sitting there taking all this damage unless you're, constantly dodging. But you're like wasting all your resources to do nothing to him while he's just standing there shooting you menacingly. He's a goddamn nightmare. And again, he's got a lot of survivability in terms of maneuverability. Besides, hijacking you, he can get away very, very easily because he's got the energy for it. But he does explode. If you do manage to hit him, it only takes a couple of hits, like direct fluid HP hits, to take him down. But again, that's like if he's low on energy, or he's already used his, I don't remember which number key it is, to hijack your unit, your mech. Those are like the situations, basically. If he doesn't have those toolkits, then you can kind of deal with them. But again, if you put a lot of pressure on him, you could still punish him, because as he's dealing with you, as he uses his skills on you, that means he's probably not targeting your team, which gives you time to have him focus on you, which is fine because you can take a couple of hits and you can just absolutely put pressure on him. So that way, because Serenith's maximum value comes from everybody ignoring him. That's where he gets the most amount of value. If you don't pay attention to Serenith, he will just destroy your team. And that's the best part. He'll just like pop out, lock on, and then go hiding again, because his move always hits without actually needing to like constantly shoot. Now, whether the beam actually hits an enemy, that's a different story, because you can kind of dodge it, but you don't need to be directly facing an enemy constantly for the move to go off. You just need to have line of sight to launch it, and then you can go out of line of sight and it'll be done. So that's kind of what makes him a nuisance. Alright, Sego. Absolutely A tier. One of my favorite mechs to play. A solid choice, a solid pick to pick on any map, on any rank, and any objective. He is an objective-based mech. Decent survivability, not the best, but pretty good. His smoke screen that provides fluid armor again, which is very good. However, the mechs that usually target him, it doesn't matter, because Elysinus, Panther, Welkin, Freyr, they all deal direct HP damage. So whether you get your fluid armor back or not doesn't matter. The one main thing though is that they can't lock onto you, which is nice, but they can still see you. Like, the smoke screen doesn't make you completely invisible, so if you're getting pressured and you don't have a lot of health, you'll die. Even through the smoke, you'll die. But he's a really good mech to have because of the damage he does. from a very good distance. Very good distance. His shield is has a decent amount of health. The missiles that he launches, lots of damage and attacks everything. Like, he's just a solid choice. In my opinion, a great starting mech. There's ways to be very, very good at Stego and to not die, which requires you to, like, kind of be more mobile than what a lot of players usually play him as. Like, you have to constantly move, pop your shield, move, pop your shield, move, pop your shield. Because what happens is when you move and pop your shield, enemy strikers that come after you kind of get pushed back, which gives you a second to, like, shoot them, and then they'll have to, like, go towards your shield again. You move, pop your shield, and as you move, you get, like, a second where your shield recharges a little bit. So it becomes this battle of, like, it becomes a stamina battle in the end. You will probably, most likely, well, it depends on the mech. If it's Elysinus, you'll probably still lose. If you're fighting Freyr, you'll probably still lose. But if Panther/Welkin, you might be able to live. Maybe. It all depends on how much pressure you can put on them as you're constantly backing up, shielding, backing up, shielding, backing up, shielding, and how good the enemy is. So there are ways to play Stego to keep them alive and, you know, get yourself out of dodge. But if you're attacked by 2 or 3 enemies, it's game over. But very, very cool mech. Stellaris. Stellaris is one of the few strikers I don't put in the S tier. And the main reason is because of his papier-mâché armor and health. Stellaris, don't get me wrong, very scary mech to go against. If you encounter a good Stellaris player, also there's a misspelling there. I didn't realize earlier. It's supposed to be a U, not an I. Anyways, good Stellaris players are very spooky. He's the boogeyman. Stellaris is the boogeyman that keeps you up at night because of his, his invisibility. He just goes into, like, ninja mode, camouflage, sneaks around the map, goes up behind you, dead, and then goes back into the night. What a fucking spooky boogeyman mech. But the stealth doesn't last forever, and as soon as you attack, you do come out of it. And if the enemy's not paying, or if the enemy's paying attention, you'll die. You'll absolutely die. But the thing that makes him better than almost all of the striker mechs is the rate of which he can attack. Stellaris is the highest he is the speediest in attack damage. So whether you're Panther, Elysinus, Freyr, Welkin, doesn't matter. If you want to attack Stellaris, there's that whole mechanic where, like, 2 strikers that face each other go clang, right? Stellaris is the only one that gets out of that much faster, and he'll continuously just beat the shit out of you. Compared to other mechs, they can't do that. Stellaris is the only one that can kind of get out of the stun faster and start dishing out damage. And he's got, like, different combos as well that make it so that way you can kind of avoid that situation in the first place as well. And he does have long-range attacks in the form of his sword, but they're not as good as, I guess having a gun, So he is a very solid pick. He is very good, but just not as good as the other strikers, in my opinion, because, again, he blows up pretty easily. He really does depend on whether you're paying attention to him or not. If you're paying attention to him, he has no value. He can't do anything. But if you forget that he's there and he managed to sneak up on you, or you managed to sneak up on your allies, then yeah, he kind of just rinses. It's kind of a tough situation. Tricera. Ooh. Tricera. I think Tricera goes... I think he goes at S tier. This might be kind of a wild choice here, but I think Tricera needs to be respected. People need to put some fucking respect on this mech. I think a lot of people see Tricera as just this giant, like, HP tank, defense tank that doesn't do anything, but holy shit, does he have so much value. Objective wise, which I did forget to mention for Stellaris. Stellaris also doesn't really play the objective very well, except for if he's in his cloaked form. Like, if he's in camouflage, then yeah, he can get away with a lot. But anyways, Tricera plays all the objectives very well, minus maybe elimination round. That's the only one that's like kind of not as good. But he shows the maximum value on, you guess it, payload. You just fucking sit on the payload and just be a menace. Whether it's for your team. My personal favorite is to sit on the enemy team's payload and just be a nightmare for the enemy team because they have to devote all of their resources just to taking you down. And it does take a decent amount of time, which gives your team an ample time to like push the payload further. He's just such a fucking piece of shit to deal with on payload, and I love it. I love being Tricera on payload. It's so much fun. But anyways, he does have a lot of survivability because of his shields, right? But I think a lot of people mistake Tricera as like an immobile tank. Yeah, okay, he doesn't have a lot of energy. He can't move fast. He can't go very high. And like he's very by far the least mobile of all the tanks or all the mechs. But the thing is, you don't have to just sit there and be like a fortress all the time. Because people will recognize that, and then they'll just shoot you, or they'll just, Aquila will just pot shot you from far away, or whatever, or they'll gang up on you, or whatever. You have to, like, as crazy it sounds, you have to move. Like, Tricera shows a lot of value by being a menace on whatever the objective is, but not being alone, right? I see a lot of Tricera players, or I see a lot of people just be Tricera and, like, in the middle of the open. And yeah, sure, they're kind of a nuisance because they'll like do a lot of damage, but they're not doing anything. They're just kind of wide out in the open. Anyone can hit them. They don't do like they're not doing the objective or whatever. They're just kind of by themselves. And so if your team recognizes that, 2 or 3 of you are like, hey, this Tricera's by himself. Let's just kind of gang up on him, and he'll die, right? Tricera cannot kill all the mechs that are there, especially if like, it feels like that meme of like 2 or 3 guys just kind of like beating down on one dude or whatever. That's exactly what it is. If you get Welkin, if you get Panther, Leesness, or Freyr or whatever, all wailing on Tricera, if the guy just blows up, dude. He just dies. And so it's just kind of one of those things that like you have to play smart as a Tricera player. You have to like constantly be with your team. And that's where you show the maximum amount of value. Because if you're literally with your team the whole time, it makes it really hard for the enemy to kill your allied units. And that's what makes Tricera really powerful. Because they have 2 choices. One, they ignore you and go for your allied unit, which gives you complete freedom to just mow them down. Or 2, they prioritize you, which makes it so your allies can focus them or get away or whatever, and then you're still like doing massive damage to them directly. So Tricera is one of the best picks in my opinion. There's only one map that he doesn't play in, and that's the god awful. I think I can't remember the name of it. It's the worst map in the game. It is a capture the point map. It's not Crab Sinkhole. It's the other one. But I hate that map so much. That's like the one map Tricera can't play on because there's too much moving in that map, and he can't really do much. But yeah, other than that, Tricera is good everywhere, every rank, and he's overall one of my favorites to play. He's just so much fun. He's just god tier mech. Welkin. Welkin is at an A tier for me. As sad as this is for me, I would have placed Welkin back in like season 2 or 1. I would have put Welkin at S tier. But I think compared, especially with Freyr that came out and Makilia, I think Welkin has kind of dropped down a little bit. He still has incredible value, which don't get me wrong. I think he should be before even Serenith, I think. Even, you know what? Let me put him at the front of the A tier. Welkin is very, very high A, but he doesn't have anything to prevent other strikers from killing him. Now, don't get me wrong. He has his plasma shield. That's like the best thing, and his stun. Plasma shield is more than for blocking energy shots or missiles or whatever. In my personal opinion, the best use for it is when you're fighting other strikers like Panther or Leesness, because they'll be able to hit you, but you don't take any damage and you don't get stunned. So you're free to wail on them all you want without them doing anything to you. But the problem is, if you're a good player, like, with the other mechs, you'll just avoid him. You'll wait for his shield to go down, and then you'll have free reign to kill him. Now, Vulcan might pop his box. So the box, again, low-ranked players, Welkin is probably the worst thing in the world for them, because they don't know how to deal with them. But as you get up in the ranks, Welkin's box becomes less of a nightmare and just a slight nuisance. The only people that die in the box are mechs that can't really get away that easily, or get stuck in the corner. Or if you're in a box with not just Welkin, if like another enemy is in the box, then it's kind of over. Because good Welkin players know when to box and how to box and all of that. But again, the box, you have to really know how to place the box in a way that the enemy can't move around so much. Like having the box like clip through the mountain, for example, that's a good way of like trying to get the bot, like a limited zone of the box. That is an excellent way to make sure that your enemy can't get away. Because if anyone traps me in there, I just kind of move around the top area of the box, and Welkin can't do anything. Now, that doesn't mean it always works, but 90% of the time, he won't be able to do anything. And Welkin's best move is the spin to win. Honestly, spin to win is so god tier. It's the best move in the game. I fucking love it. I think everybody loves it. But again, in the higher ranks and the higher tiers, I mean, spin to win is still viable, but people know how to get out of it. People know how to not get caught up in it. People know to avoid it. People know how to like kind of slowly back away from him and make you waste your energy and that kind of stuff. So I think Welkin has a lot more value from not directly charging enemies right away like Elysius or Panther do. Welkin has an incredibly strong cannon, like massive cannon on his back. That does really high damage. Elysius, Panther doesn't even have a gun. And Stellaris doesn't have a gun. Elysius is the only one that has a gun. Well, Freyr too. And McKilly we'll talk about later. But Welkin's cannon, I think besides McKilly does the most amount of damage in the striker category. Maybe Freyr does as much damage, but it's very strong damage for 8 shots before you have to reload. So I think the best thing to do with Welkin is take pot shots, and you don't need lock on either. You can just shoot from very far away if you're good. Do poke damage, bring down their shields or their fluid armor, maybe bring down their health, and then go in for the strike. Because the problem is Welkin's energy is so bad. I feel like they nuked it. I feel like back in Season 1, Welkin's energy was so good. But Welkin's energy management in like Season 3 now, it feels really bad. And it feels like you take 2 or 3 hits and then you have no energy. So compared to Elysius and Panther, who could just constantly wail on you, Welkin's energy kind of just gets massively depleted after a couple of hits. Like 2 or 3 hits. And then you, combined with needing to maybe dodge or maneuver, you just like leave yourself open to not being able to do anything. Now, I know that there's a lot of energy management in this game, but Welkin's feels like the worst. And that's why he's not in the S tier. And the fact that he doesn't have like Elysius and Panther and Machilia and Freyr, they all have shields. Well, Stellaris, I guess, doesn't have a shield either. So I guess Stellaris is the exception. But Welkin doesn't have like a form of counter, right? The only counter he has is attacking at the same time, but, either you and the enemy will keep doing that forever, or the enemy will eventually like find a way, or you'll hopefully find a way to get out of that situation. But 9 times out of 10, it's the enemy that, like, the other mechs that are able to get out of that situation and do more damage before you can, because they have a lot better ways to counter that situation, and Welkin doesn't. So I love Welkin. He's the first mech I ever played, the first mech I ever ranked with. I think he's so much fun. I love him, but yeah, he's just not as good anymore. more, in my opinion. Okay, Hell. Hell, to be honest, I have no idea where to put him. Also, if you see the images are weird, that's because this is like an old tier list, and I had to find like images for the new mechs. Yeah, Hell, I haven't really seen a lot of Hell players, to be honest. I'm going to put him at B tier because either Hell is the worst, like, is a god-awful nightmare to deal with, or he has no impact whatsoever. He's kind of one of those mechs that either has lots of impact or no impact, and that's kind of why I put him at B. I unfortunately have not had a lot of chance to play as Hell. I have tried him, but I didn't really understand very much. I would need to put more time in him, and I'd like to. Maybe eventually I will. He can do and dish out a lot of damage, like insane amount of damage. But I think the most utility he has is the amount of stuns that he does. It's crazy, crazy, crazy how much stun you can get out of this guy and just have an enemy be completely useless. And that's where he gets the most value. And I think they're like traps that he sets, right? You set these traps down, boom, wherever, and then if enemy tries to come up to you, they step on the trap and they're stunned. And then you can set like a bunch of them around, so every time they come up to you, boom, stun, boom, stun, boom, stun. And then in the meantime, he just shoots you. Or another enemy shoots you. He's fucking gross. Thank God there's not a lot of these guys. At least at GM, I rarely see it. Rarely. And I think it's because maybe not a lot of people unlocked him or didn't understand him. I don't know. But he's kind of one of those sneaky picks. I feel like if you're a very good Hell player, you might be just like a nightmare for anybody. Alright, this one is Serenith again. We're not going to play him. Alfred. Yeah. I feel like I should put him at C, but he's honestly kind of useless. I'll say it. He's the only mech in this entire game that it feels like has no impact. Like, no value whatsoever. Now, don't get me wrong. I have encountered one or two very strong Alfred players, both on my team and on an enemy team, but it's very rare. Like, a good Alfred player almost doesn't exist. And they are... If they are good, it's impossible to do anything to them. But, in general, Alfred either never dies, but never does anything, or dies very often and still doesn't do anything. He has the same problem as Falcon and Sky Raider, where he flies too fucking fast across the battlefield to do anything useful. Like, I get it, the whole point of these three mechs, Falcon, Sky Raider, and Alfred, is to have this really cool mech that flies around, constantly a nuisance, doing aerial damage, blah, 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 but you just don't have an impact. The damage you do is almost negligible, and you're only doing damage to fluid armor. So, in the case of, like, Tricera, he just literally does not give a shit if there's an Alfred or Sky Raider. Because the way that this game works is that when you're playing Alfred, Falcon, or Sky Raider, your mech will constantly fly, and you have the lock-on target the enemy down below, and as you're getting closer to them, you can shoot them, and then pass by over them, shoot them, and then pass through. Now, the idea is to do as much damage before you pass them, as you pass them, and then pass them. Like, that time, that's the golden time to do as much damage. But that only is possible if the enemy's literally standing still. And in most cases, enemies are not standing still. Like Tricera, Stego, they might be, but again, they don't care about the damage. Most mechs are not standing still, so it's really hard to get as much maximum value from your shots, or your missiles, or whatever. And the worst part is that if you try to stop, you completely, like, dead stop and are kind of stuck in place for, like, a second, and that opens you to just get shot. You have to constantly be moving as Alfred because he's also, if you guessed it, made of paper mache. And you can't do anything. If there's an Aquila on the enemy team or an Narukami, you're dead. You're so dead. maybe someone better than me has to play him. I don't know. I can't play Alfred or Sky Raider or Falcon and just have any impact whatsoever. Forget about getting kills. Forget about doing damage. You don't even do anything for the points, right? For the objectives. You can't capture the point. You can't get the Corite. You can't get the key. I forgot about that mission. Getting the keys. The only thing you can do is the elimination. And even then, like I said, you don't do that much damage. Like, he can do damage. Falcon can do damage. Sky Raider can do damage. They all can do decent amount of damage. All the mechs can do really good damage. It's just that you have to kind of stand still a little bit or, like, move not so fast. And that's the issue. Because you just fly through the enemies at, like, Mach speed, doing maybe 10 bullets of damage, maybe a missile of damage, and that's it. And you have to constantly do that back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But the enemy's not going to let you do that. The enemy's not going to just sit there and be like, oh, there's an Alfred flying in the sky. I guess I'll just let him hit me. No, you're gonna fucking shoot back. You're gonna try to, pressure him. The one thing that makes him hard to kill is that his speed is so insane, so cracked in this game, that he just flies halfway across the map and then, but you just forget about him, You're just kind of like, all right, see you, dude. I'll shoot you later, I guess, Like, he's just so useless. Like, I don't know, man. Again, if you think I'm wrong, you can write a comment, but I can't see any value from him. All right, here we go. My personal favorite mech of the game, Freyr. Freyr is a tier of its own, I feel like. Hold on, I gotta move this around. Come on. There we go. I should probably put, yeah. Anyways, Freyr is like a godsend mech in this season. The most destructive, most punishing, most nuisance, most just overall a god tier rank mech. Fuck, I love Freyr so much. Now, Freyr is killable. Don't get me wrong. I've died plenty of times. Freyr is not invincible. It's not an invincible mech. It's not a admin, not a server admin mech. But he is very, very, very hard to kill. And he just, more than anything, he gets lots of kills. Lots of kills. So many kills. And I think he's such a good addition to the game where Elysius and Panther have been just dominating for the last 2 seasons. And it's nice to have them be a step down again. Or have them be a step down. Because before, there's really not much to do with Elysius or Panther, except for another Elysius or Panther. As sad as it is to say, yeah, you could take pot shots from distance, but those two were just the worst to deal with. But Freyr came in and was like, fuck the both of you, I'm going to destroy you. And he does. Panther's like the only one that really, if you're a good Panther, you're able to kill Freyr. But it depends on there's different conditions in play. Freyr, when he has his buzzsaw shield out, sword out, and pops his 3 key, and just goes nuts on Panther, you just kind of destroy him. But again, that's if you're playing a Panther who kind of gets lost in the sauce. Like, if they see a Freyr coming at them, balls to the wall, shield buzzing them, sword slashing them, sometimes they back away and try to run. Like, oh shit, what is happening? They try to run away. That's the wrong move. If they try to do that, you win. But a good Panther player will dodge, stealth, like they'll maneuver themselves so in a way that your lock-on doesn't target them. So you end up wasting your 3 key and not getting the damage. And then once they know that it's up, they go in for the kill. Because Freyr, you have to there's a lot of complications, intricacies, and different ways to play. But again, depending on who you are and how you play it, Panther can beat Freyr very easily. Elysius, on the other hand, cannot. 9 times out of 10, Elysius does not beat Freyr, even with all the fucking revives that he has. Because either A, you can go ham, but you want to reserve... Ideally, you want to reserve that for his last revive. But you have your parry with your shields. Once you parry, you can move in with your buzzsaw, like switch to buzzsaw. You can shoot him from a distance. There's a lot of different options. But Freyr has been a menace. Both as someone who has played as Freyr and played against Freyr. Playing against a Freyr is awful sometimes, but since I play Freyr, I know how to deal with them. But I love this mech so much. And he's made playing Mash Mech a lot easier too. He's just such a good mech. There's no way that he's not S tier. That's unquestionable. Alright, Inferno we did. Alright, Norn. Oof. I think... God, Norn is a tough one. I have to put him at B because he does have more value than Falcon and Skyraider. But it's a very low B. Norn, when he first came out, was pretty hype because it's a fucking mech with a bow. Like, that's pretty awesome. But we very quickly realized, or I very quickly realized, he has no survivability. He also kind of just explodes. Now, he has his place. He has his camouflage, which is great. It works the same way as Stellaris's. But his greatest utility is his 2-key, which changes the bow to an EMP bolt. That's where you get the maximum amount of value as Norn. Just EMPing enemies, making sure they can't accomplish objectives, making sure that like you knock out their drones, like Hurricane's drones get knocked out. You knock out any enemy that's trying to do something, attack you, whatever. That's your way of like kind of getting rid of the pressure. However, I think you only have 2 shots before you need to recharge it. It's like 2. I don't remember how many it is. Like 2 or 4 shots, and then it has a very long cooldown. And so your objective is to try to balance your EMP shots with your regular shots and your explosion shots. But again, he's just kind of not good compared to Aquila or maybe Narukami. Because, again, he can't hide. I mean, he has his camouflage, but once the cooldown's gone, he can't hide anymore. Now, Aquila can't hide, but I think between a good Aquila player and a good Norn player, I think Aquila comes out on top. Now, again, Norn does have the EMP bolt, but you can't shoot right away. So that's the main problem. Once you EMP, you have to switch back to an explosion or switch back to a regular bolt, which I think it does automatically switch to the regular bolt right away, but you can't fire it right away. Or to do the most amount of damage, you have to wait to charge it. And so by the time the enemy's unstunned, you get your shot off, but they might move. You know, like there's like a little bit of delay between you firing your EMP and your next shot. And it makes it not as valuable as Aquila, who can stun and then fire right away. Or has enough time to fire right away. So that kind of sucks. I wish that they gave a shorter cooldown, but again, I can kind of see why they didn't, because if Norn had a shorter cooldown on his EMP bolt, God, that would be scary. That would be so fucking scary. I would really shit my pants if Norn had a cooldown on that. So he does need a rework, but I don't know what they would do to make him better, because he's okay. And trust me, if there's a good Norn player, they are the worst. They are a nightmare. Like if there is 0 aerial pressure, Norn will dominate the battlefield. 100%. If there's nobody who can go and deal with them, 1,000% he dominates. And there's no way to reach him. It doesn't matter if you're playing, like, for example, Freyr, his 3-key that gives him massive amounts of energy, still cannot get to Norn. Because Norn can dash away a lot, but the best part is that you can, if you're good, you will just use your EMP bolt and stun Freyr. Now, Freyr is technically not lockable, like you can't lock onto him, but again, that doesn't mean you can't shoot him. You just can't lock onto him. So if you're good at shooting, you shoot Freyr, he gets knocked, and then you get more time to get away. That's kind of what you do as you play Norn. You just kind of fire your explosion shots and your regular shots, and you only use your EMP bolt when you get pressured or if you see the enemy team trying to capture an objective. But again, he's a very high skill tier character with not a lot of value. And last but not least, my other son, Mecha. The last to enter the S rank tier. Mecha came out in Season 2 along with Norn. Fucking great mech. Fantastic peak mech. I'm going to put him here. Before Tricera. I'm not sure between Alesis and Mecha, to be honest. It's kind of close. But, yeah, Mecha is such a monster to deal with. Especially in this season, I feel like a lot of people are playing Mecha more. I've been playing Mecha more. I didn't play him so much in GM in last season. I did for a while, but then I stopped. Because people were finding ways to counter him. But with Freyr out, Mecha has become a lot stronger. Because Freyr can't do anything to Mecha. Freyr cannot kill Mecha. That's the... Like, if you're trying to counter Freyr, Mecha is the pick. Because Mecha goes into his tank form, and he basically becomes a mini Tricera. And yeah, you could shoot him, yeah, you can stab him, but Mecha does not take any stun damage while he's in that form. And so what you do is you box Freyr and then, do your drill attack, or you drill him, then box him and throw him, or however you want to do the order. And then you also, if he's stunned, you can go back into your fighting form and then use your gun, which does crazy, like, way more damage than you'd think, to be honest. His plasma shotgun, whatever you want to call it, does just way too much damage. From long range, decent damage, but from close range, it is essentially a shotgun to the face, where you just lose all of your plasma armor. It's kind of insane how much damage that does. His fists are the only thing, like his actual attack move in his fighting form isn't the best, and he is the weakest of all of the strikers, in my opinion, in that regard, because he's so slow. His punches go at, like, negative speed compared to the other strikers. So you don't really ever use your fist form unless the enemy is stunned to deal, like, HP damage. And even then, you only want to go for 2 hits, because the third hit takes way too long to come out, and the enemy will be not stunned by that time. So ideally, you stun them, hit them twice, and then shift to your tank form. That's the play. And because Mecha has such high durability, such high survivability, he's a very solid pick. And in my opinion, one of the best mechs to start with, and get good with, because he's just such a good tank or good mech to have on your team. Now, again, his one weakness would be Aquila, Narukami, kind of. Any of the flyers, because he can't get to them. He literally cannot... Well, in his tank form, he can't fly up. But in his fighting form, he just doesn't have the energy to do it. He can't, like, get up to the sky to deal with enemies. So, if you have an Aquila on your team and they have a Mecha, you want to target and prioritize the Mecha, because he can't do anything to you. It'll take a while to kill him because of the extra fluid armor. I said plasma armor, the extra fluid armor that he has. But yeah, eventually you will be able to kill him. But again, he might take out a lot of your team too. So you really got to focus him heavily. But if there is no Aquila, and there isn't a lot of aerial pressure, Mecha kind of just dominates. To be honest, he's very effective against other strikers. Like I said, he's very effective against Freyr. Panther's the only one that, again, Panther's so fucking strong that it's hard to imagine a situation where Panther doesn't do well. But again, because of that one skill that he has where he puts enemies in a box, and that box makes it so it gets rid of their armor, essentially. They're just like, they just have their HP, and you can, as soon as you unleash your drill attack, you're literally doing all the damage to their HP. So even if you captured a Panther who has, for example, his shield out, like the extra shield that he gets, the extra fluid armor, the green one, it'll bypass that as soon as you put him in the box. And it's great. So you deal a lot of damage in that case. But yeah, that Mecha is such a good pick, and one who's gotten me a lot of wins in a lot of different games. But anyways, that's the whole tier list. I know there's two down here, but that's because they're already here. YouTube, if you like this list, let me know. If this was helpful for you, also let me know. I know that this is all purely based off of my opinions, but I played the game a lot now, and I will continue to play the game a lot. I hope that others out there will continue to play this game. I hope this video maybe has created some incentive to play the game. I will do more informative videos on Mecha Break. I want to do more videos on Mecha Break, partially because I want to do it, but mostly I hope to drive more interest in the game, because again, it's not talked about. It's such a good game. It's so much fun. People have their complaints, but people have complaints about a lot of games. I just think it's a solid game. Whether you play comp or not, it doesn't matter. I think especially if you don't want to play comp, this game is so much fun. Because it's just a pick a mech, shoot mechs, fight mechs, and win or lose. It's a fun time. It's genuinely such a fun time. Comp can be frustrating for me sometimes, but when I play like casual mode, I have so much fun. That's where I have the most fun. I just pick whatever mech that I'm like not good with, that I want to get better at, and I just have a good time. Now there can be some sweaty people in comp, and or in casual at my rank, but whatever. At the same time, like I said, you can switch mechs and things like that. So if someone's really kind of putting pressure on you, I just change and whoop their butt and be like, hey, why do they stop sweating so much? But yeah, this is the overall master tier list. Not going to change. I look forward to more mechs. I look forward to reworks. Hopefully we get maybe another healer hack. I mean, to be honest, healing in this game is really not important. There is not really a need for like a healer to win a game. You can definitely win without it. It's just if you have one, it's nice. That's really it. But I don't think we need more strikers. We have too many. I like playing a striker, but it's like having the DPS situation. We need a little bit more thick boys, maybe better flyers. Yeah, maybe another healer or something like that. I would love another thick boy like Stego or Tricera. Anyways, let me know what you think. This is another video we're going to be doing for today. And I'll see you next time for another awesome video, hopefully of actual gameplay. Alright, peace out.